and welcome to The Bond, where we learn to bond with nature. So let me ask you, have you ever had a bad day? Have you ever felt like every day is a Monday? Have you ever felt like something was so disturbing to you that you just did not feel comfortable talking to another person about it? I think we've all been through difficult situations, and that is exactly where our next guest comes in. So she has a micro sanctuary, which she established in 2019. Lori is a fantastic, compassionate person who has a mission for suffering and how to address suffering. She has 17 years of professionally working with animals. Now that doesn't mean just dogs and cats. It also means livestock, poultry, and other exotic animals. She's had shelter work in Colorado, San Diego, California, and even had some experience in Florida. She also learned an element of compassion from volunteering during Hurricane Katrina. And she wanted to create something that was not just a sanctuary, but something that was like a home for abused, neglected, and special need animals. The nice thing about Lori is that she is going to teach us how to have that ripple effect of kindness, where we show compassion and that emboldens us to show even more compassion. It's this renewing spring. She's going to provide us with information about the best sort of animal that we can use as a therapy animal, and it may not be the animal that you think of. That's right. We're talking about cow cuddling. So Libby Lou Safe Haven for Cows is exactly what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be learning about compassion, kindness, humane treatment, and of course that ripple effect. And with that, I want to say, Lori, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing the information you have about Libby Lou's Safe Haven. Can you start in by telling us a little bit about why you started this micro sanctuary back in 2019?
Sure. Well, back in 2016, we were still living in San Diego, and I suddenly lost both my parents within 3 weeks of each other.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I am an only child, and it had always just been the three of us, and then suddenly it was just the one of us. And my mom had been in hospice, so I made it back to Texas to be by her side. But my dad passed away suddenly 3 weeks later, basically of a broken heart. He had a heart attack.
Oh.
They had been together 45 years. And just the shock and trauma of all of that sent me into a depression, and it was really hard for me to get myself out of it. And I just told my husband, I need to get out of here. So we put the house on the market and we moved to Colorado. And I needed some fresh air and Rocky Mountain beauty,
of course.
And just to try to find myself again. And in all of that, the house that we bought, the property was 3 acres, and that allowed me to adopt one cow, which was Libby Lou, and she helped me get out of my depression. I was able to talk to her for pretty much all of 2018 and just tell her things that I maybe couldn't tell another human.
Sure.
And she listened. And, before I knew it, I felt better. And, to pay it forward, to thank her, I mean, how do you thank a cow? You can't really write them a letter or take them out to dinner like you would a human.
Get them a new cowbell like they do in Switzerland.
I thought the best way to do that would be to start a sanctuary in her honor and try to help other cows. That would be the biggest thanks I could give her.
Now, what made you decide to adopt a cow instead of a dog or a cat or a bunny rabbit, something much smaller? What made you reach out to livestock and consider that as a possible therapy partner?
Well, you go, when you're a kid, you see the cows in the field along the highway, and they just always look so sweet and gentle. So I always liked them. I had never been around them. I grew up in suburbia in Texas.
Okay.
I was not exposed to country life. And I just thought, well, this is finally my opportunity. We have enough property where, and I had a barn and I could have a cow. And they are so misunderstood. I mean, they're part of the food chain. And I just always thought they got, the short end of the stick. They needed me as much as I needed them. And Libby was the catalyst that started everything.
So tell me a little bit about the intelligence of a cow, and what is, in your opinion, since you now have a micro sanctuary for a variety of different cows, what is your opinion on both their intellectual intelligence and their emotional intelligence?
Well, it's a misconception that they're dumb animals.
Okay.
They're not.
Well, sure.
They know their names. Now, they may not come to you when you call them, but a dog may not either. It doesn't mean they don't know their names. It's just like they know when you've had a bad day, when they have empathy. I believe they are sentient beings, that they have feelings and they have emotions. I know, some people don't believe that, but I believe it wholeheartedly.
Sure.
And just being in their presence helps you. And it's hard to explain until you actually do it yourself. And that's another reason I wanted to start the sanctuary. Once I realized the power that they have to heal people, I wanted to share that with others.
So it sounds like what your micro sanctuary does is two things. It provides a home for cows that have been mistreated or have been neglected in some way, so you give them a sanctuary for that. But it's also an avenue for people to get some sort of therapeutic healing where the cow is the therapist. So one of the things that I would love to ask you is, how can someone take advantage of cow cuddling? If they needed a session and they're willing to come down to San Diego, what's the process?
Well, let me just start by saying I don't promote cow cuddling per se, because I don't force the cows to do anything they may not want to. It needs to be more of an organic situation. But if you come down, you contact me, we set up a time for a tour. I take you around, I tell you the animal stories, and then if they're willing, which 99.9% of the time they are, we go into the pen with them.
Okay.
We take some brushes and we go in, we groom them, we brush them, we pet them, and that is the time. It's one-on-one, hands-on. That's when you can hug them, lean into them, pretty much just have your hands on them, and they're calm and loving, and they're enjoying that human interaction as much as you are enjoying being there with them.
That sounds very serene. It sounds almost like you've completed the whole cycle of compassion, where you're giving them a safe place, you're giving a human an outlet, and it sounds like it's mutually beneficial as long as certain guidelines are adhered to. So no charging, no sudden moves, just everything is nice and slow and serene. Am I understanding that correctly? The whole cycle of compassion?
You are absolutely understanding it correctly.
Okay, well that's good, because we're all learning something new, and I'm not sure that cow therapy is as popular as horse therapy or dog therapy. And I don't know if you have any opinions on the differences, why you'd use each animal for different types of therapy. Do you?
Well, my opinion on why cow therapy isn't as popular as dog or horse is very simple. Cows are part of the food chain.
Ah, very good.
Dogs and horses are considered companion animals.
Right.
That is it
Pets.
in a nutshell. It's people's perception. They're not
Good
thinking
insight.
about an animal being a companion. They're thinking that's dinner. And part of what I try to do is change perception.
Mm-hmm. And I think that you have succeeded. And with that perception, we are going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit about the problem of cows contributing to the ozone deterioration or methane gas. So stay with us. We'll be right back. And we are back. So before we left for break, we talked about the fact that so many people say that cows emit a gas that contributes to greenhouse gas, and that's methane. Greenhouse gas traps more heat in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide, and some say that that's what contributes to climate change. Climate change being defined as extreme weather. So that's a place that's extreme hot, or a place that's extreme cold, or extreme dry, or extreme wet, which creates those floods and natural disasters. So given that sometimes cows are looked at as the contributors of this, I'm going to be asking Lori from Libby Lou's Safe Haven how that might be easily addressed. So Lori, let me ask you, do you have any insight into how to make cows less gassy?
Well, there are some things that are being tested right now. To my knowledge, the main one is red seaweed.
Interesting. Okay.
They're also looking into some probiotics and also some essential oils.
Essential oils, like what?
Carrot and coriander.
Carrot and coriander oils, you mean to rub on the skin and the fur of the cow, or
for intake?
Really?
Yes.
So give the cows some sushi, it sounds like. So you have the nori, the seaweed, and a little bit of extra stuff. Is that right? We need to have some more sophisticated cows that hang out at the sushi bar, and they'll be fine? Okay, great. Well, given that, let me ask you this. Given that that's probably not realistic, but red seaweed, coriander, and carrot seed oil all sound really interesting, along with a dose of kefir or yogurt to get those probiotics. Tell me a little bit about the breeds of cows that you think are the best bonding cows.
Well, it really comes down to the individual personality of the cows, because yes, they all do have distinct personalities, just like people.
Wow.
Your dairy cows are usually more calm than your non-dairy cows, but they also have horns.
Interesting.
So
okay.
That is something to take into consideration. My two cows that I feel are the most, probably the most ones I would use for this type of therapy are non-dairy, and they were both born at my sanctuary. I did not know their mothers were pregnant when we rescued them. Surprise! But they have known nothing but love and tenderness, and they have no what I call stranger danger. They have no reason to fear guests.
So do you know what their breeds are?
Yeah, they are Hereford mixes.
Oh, interesting. Now, that's not the shaggy, long-haired cow that you see in Scotland, is it? Okay.
Those are beautiful. Those are
I love those.
Yes, I do too.
Always nice to have the nice long hair. It reminds me of a Frisian horse that you'd normally have, with the long manes and all that from
do love
the
them.
Netherlands.
It's a bit warm in San Diego for them.
I can imagine.
With all that fur, but they're gorgeous.
Well, when you want to think about cornrowing their hair so that it keeps the heat off of their skin, that would be great.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about the cow's memory? Now, everyone knows that elephants don't forget, but what about cows? Will they remember you if you haven't seen them for about 3 months?
Absolutely. Honestly, we don't have a lot of folks that come out over and over, just because I haven't been able to set up a volunteer program yet. So the only person they see day in and day out is me. Mm-hmm. But when my board members come out, which maybe was once every 6 months, they remember them absolutely.
Oh, that is so nice. Do you think that their memory is visual, or is it scent, or is it tactile, or is it everything?
I would say it's everything. And I also would think on the opposite end of that, if you're someone that has mistreated them, they're going to remember that as well.
So they will avoid the mistreater and be welcoming to the, nice treater. Now, I know that in Switzerland, every cow is given a different cowbell that has a different tone, so that way the farmer can go ahead and hear where the cows are based off of the tone. Do you do that with your cows? Do you give them different toned bells, or do you give them different collars, or how do you tell them apart?
I don't put anything on them.
They're naked?
They look different, but they have distinct moos.
They have distinct moos, so like a choir has distinct voices.
Yes. So I can...
Interesting.
I can have my back turned.
Yeah.
And most of the time when I hear a moo, I know who it's come from.
Really? And can you sort of decipher what that moo is, like the cow's language? Whether it's I'm hungry, I'm in distress, I want some company?
Yes, because they make a sound we call a hum, mm-hmm. which is not a full moo. And that means something different than a moo. And then there's the volume of the moo.
Uh-huh.
To tell you if it's just hurry up with my dinner, or oh my gosh, there's a predator. There's totally different language, and just when you're around them as often as I am, you pick up on this. So I don't have to have any tracking devices on them. I pretty much know where they are most all the time.
Wow, that is amazing. So let me ask you this. Given that, can you comment a little bit on the social structure or the hierarchy that cows may have? Like wolves are in packs, people have families. Do cows have any sort of structure like that?
Absolutely. Cows form very deep bonds with their family. Mm-hmm. I rescued a family of 5. And babies were born to that herd, so they are now a family of 7.
Oh.
And there is definitely an alpha. Her name is Whittier. We call her Grandma because there are 3 generations of mm-hmm. her family that live at Libby Lou's, which is very rare.
The true matriarch.
The cow world. So she's the boss woman.
Okay.
And poor little Maui, he's the bottom of the totem pole.
Oh, so what does that mean? He gets picked on? Are there bully cows?
They can bully just like humans.
Really?
They can display jealousy like humans. They can display love and caring and tenderness like humans. But there definitely is a structure, and there's no doubt Whittier is at the top of it.
Wow, that is really interesting. So have you had any kinds of stories, like life-changing experiences that anyone has visited your sanctuary at Libby Lou's and shared with you afterwards how it impacted them?
Yes, two actually. I'll just be brief. I have a friend that helps me with some media for the sanctuary. So she spent quite a bit of time out with the cows. And, one day she just pulled me aside and said, because of them, I've stopped eating red meat.
What? Really?
And I had a guest who has been out more than once, and she pulled me aside and said, I just wanted you to know that I've stopped eating dairy because of your stories of I have 2 dairy breed cows. I've told the story of, of dairies and what all happens. And she had no idea. And, she just they both wanted to thank me for, allowing them to spend time with the cows and the impact that had on their life. And that's that is so powerful.
That is. I mean, that's a huge life-changing interaction.
Absolutely.
So if you were to sum up everything that has happened to you in order to generate this cycle of compassion that you call Libby Lou's Safe Haven for Cows, Lori, tell me, what would be that one word?
Happiness.
Really? Oh, I love that. That is, I'm sorry, I just slammed my mic. I'm sure that I gave everybody in the booth a bit of a headache. But I appreciate that. I love the word happiness and how it just conveys inner peace and joy and contentedness. So I wanted to say thank you so much for coming over and joining us and educating our audience on cow cuddling and how large animals can be just as cuddly-wuddly as an adorable Persian cat or ragdoll cat. Maybe not quite as portable, but still very effective.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time you took. And so with that, I just wanted to say we have had an amazing journey with talking with Lori. She has shown us a little bit about the humane world of cows and that bond, that connection that we have, how cows can give us an emotional well-being. The compassion that she had from heartbreak actually resulted in her not only changing the lives of future livestock, but also humans, and has shared that by paying it forward and turning it into a happy place. She went from a low point to a high point, and you can too. You just need to find the thing that helps you bond with nature. So we learned about emotional intelligence, cow therapy, the healing power, those greatest gifts, and that key word of happiness. Cows are intelligent, emotional, they have their family structure, their friends, and they like the right kinds of humans. So if you were interested in it, go check out Libby Lou's Safe Haven. You might even want to volunteer there and help Lori out with her growing need for cow cuddles. And I hope that you also feel the need to be kind and cuddle with someone else. Until we bond again, thanks for joining us.